at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street in Woonsocket. This is ON AM and FM.
WOON Woonsocket.
This ON AM and FM forecast brought to you by Cumberland Kitchen and Bath Design Center, 1764 Mendon Road in Cumberland, transforming a house into a home. Your home. Call 334-7317. Becoming sunny today with a high of 86 and a breeze from the west. Tonight, mostly clear skies, overnight low of 60. Sunday's weather mostly sunny and 81. Monday, mostly sunny and 79. Tuesday, sunshine and 81. Wednesday, sunshine and 83. Thursday, sunshine and 82. And next Friday, partly sunny skies and 81 degrees.
And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have 80.8 hazy, hot and humid degrees. Welcome to Kevin's Sports Show here on 99.5 FM, 1240 AM, WoonsocketRadio.com. I'm Kevin Callahan. I am joined by my co-host, Pat Holland, who is in Indianapolis. Patrick, are you there?
I am, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing great, Pat. Doing some extensive research for the show out in Indianapolis, Indiana?
A little bit. No, here, a little bit of business, a little bit of pleasure, but happy to be able to call in.
Thank you. Much appreciated you calling in. Our phone lines are open at 401-766-1240, 766-1240. Pat, we got a lot of things to cover today locally. Upper Deck American Legion is in New Hampshire for the Northeast Finals. The Red Sox continue to hold our interest as we get through mid-August here, and the Pats are underway. Around 9:30 this morning, we'll be joined by Patriots beat writer for the Sun Chronicle, Tyler Heatsu, to break down the Pats camp, the game versus the Panthers, upcoming preseason game with the Eagles. So we'll look forward to that. But Pat, we've been doing the show for about 2 months now, maybe just over 2 months, and this might be the most heated I've been, and it concerns the Olympics. I'm not a big NBA guy. I'm not a huge basketball guy. I love hockey and baseball and football. I'm not loving Steve Kerr right now, Pat. After 5 games in the Olympics, Team USA basketball is 5-0, which I'm thrilled about. But the highest paid player in the NBA, after LeBron James, the face of the NBA, Jason Tatum of your Boston Celtics, has now sat for 2 of the 5 games. I know all the players have sat, but Pat, I'm livid. I'm really having a tough time getting past how the face of the NBA, and as I just learned, the only American-born player in the NBA, all first team this year. He doesn't play. And Pat, before I get your thoughts, if you have a thought on this, please feel free to call in 766-1240. Pat, I'm livid.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Kevin. Especially with the amount of talent that they have a guy not play at all 2 games is a little interesting. But yeah, you're right though. He's the upcoming face of the NBA, and on a team like this, which they talk about dream teams, that to have a guy not to sit 2 full games is a little out of left field.
I just don't get it. It's both games against Serbia. So I don't know if it's the matchup against Serbia, or I mean, do you have a theory? Is it a Steve Kerr? Is it a personal vendetta? What do you think?
Yeah, certainly you can go that road, but you hate to think that way. But for a kid with the amount of talent that he has, to not get anything, let alone what he has, it's a little crazy.
When you compare dream teams, and I know it's tough to compare errors and everything, but you've got 1992 Chuck Daly dream team, and they played 5 in 5 out on that. It's on that team. And I actually have no problem with Tatum not playing at the end of the game the last few minutes, the 5 that were on the floor, against Serbia is what brought them back. But to not get any minutes, I mean, again, he's the face of the NBA, Pat. He's on the 2K25 game next year on the cover. He's the highest paid player in the NBA. It's one thing not to have, Jaylen Brown even on the team, but then you bring Tatum, which is a no-brainer, and then for him not to play. In the games he did play, I mean, he's getting a double-double. He's doing good in those games. I need help, Pat. Give me something.
It just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up on paper in this type of scenario where you have the amount of talent that you have, that you're not getting these guys all. I'm not saying everyone has to play the same amount of minutes, but you have a guy play like no minutes, unless there's some sort of injury that we're not aware of. And for me, selfishly enough, I'd rather see him just get the rest that he's getting over the summer, and then he still has a little bit of input here, right? He's played well in the games he's played in, but get him the rest and get back to Boston, help going into the next season and overextend himself.
Pat, can you speak up? Can you speak up just a little bit, Pat? I'm having a tough time hearing you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
Sorry. Just you would think that they get a little bit more equal playing time across the board in this type of tournament with the talent level, right? You can't say like, well, we don't have a deep bench. It's a deep bench for any team over there. They have the most NBA players. This is a matchup issue. But if he was covering, center, and yeah, it's a matchup issue, but he should be able to fit anyone else on that roster.
Pat, I'm sorry, it's just a little bit cut up there a little bit. But when you come back, just a little bit, if you could just speak up a little bit again. But to your point earlier, to me, it doesn't even have to be about equal playing time. And it's not rec basketball. I get it. It doesn't have to be equal, but I don't understand. I also don't, you don't need the 5 starters playing the whole game either. You have that much depth on the team that, you have fresh legs. All these other teams, they don't have the depth that Team USA has, and to not utilize all the players, there's, for Steve Kerr to come out and say the math doesn't work for the players, to get them all playing time. And if you have a thought on this, feel free to call in 766-1240 here on ON Radio, 766-1240 in the 401 area code. To me, it's not about the equal playing time, but you gotta get some minutes in there. And it's some people have said, well, it's good. Maybe, Tatum's resting and he'll come back stronger. He's there in France. You go there for the Olympics, you got to play.
Yeah, there's no question. And I don't, who knows what the mentality is occur with this decision. But, yeah, there's no reason why these guys aren't, why he's not playing a pivotal role. Just as much as the other guys. And I agree with you. Down by 17, you stick with guys that get you back in the game, and ultimately you get the win, and that's what matters. But have to not play any minutes. It's crazy.
Right. It's just crazy. I was shocked. To be fair, I really didn't tune in to the game because of work. By the time I got home, I wasn't able to tune in until about halfway through the fourth quarter. They were still down by 7, and I'll be honest, at that point I was looking for Tatum out there, and did not see him. I mean, Derek White's getting a few minutes a game. I just don't get how the only American on the All NBA team, defending champion Celtics. I mean, I guess the Celtics aren't going to need any more motivation next year. You got an upset Jaylen Brown. You've got now an upset Jason Tatum. You got the whole team signed. I mean, maybe ultimately in a weird way, it'll be great for the Celtics for motivation to maybe looking to repeat next year. I don't know. That's maybe the only positive I can take out of it.
Yeah, I mean, then that's all you can think about is what what do these guys think while they're over there? I don't know. Does he really care? Is long as it's involved. But yeah, if he can use this as motivation going into next season, certainly he should do that. It's just odd, especially with a team that that has the amount of skill that they have, that they're not using everybody.
Right, and it's not
in pivotal games.
I can even understand. Again, I'm no NBA expert, but I can even understand if it's a player, like Derek White, coming out of D2, huge contributor to the Celtics on their championship run, great team player. I would get more if it was him being the 11th or 12th player and not getting some minutes. It's just, as upset as I was that Jaylen Brown didn't make the team. I'm like, okay, they probably said, he's not going to be able to get his minutes, and that's a good reason to keep Jaylen Brown away. But I'm really having a real tough time getting past Tatum. I mean, in essence, has not played in 40% of the games, even if he plays today, which is, the gold medal game today versus France at 3:30 today. Men's hoops goes for gold. Even if he plays today, I mean, he's still only played in 67% of the games. It's I don't think it's that taxing on their bodies to play 6 extra games on their season. Adrenaline LeBron looks reborn on some of the moves he's making at the end of the game. Durant looks great, but it just I'm really having a tough time getting past this. And I think when Steve Kerr comes to the Garden next year, he's gonna literally booed out of the building as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, D. White's minutes were down. I mean, I didn't see the game myself. I saw some of the highlights. I was getting the updates. I was surprised the team were down by 7 points. But it looks like they're going with 3 guards. So maybe they can chalk it up to a matchup. But in this style of tournament, it just doesn't make sense. They should be able to keep it out at 4, and they should be able to dominate.
Right.
Play for the most part. Given the teams. I mean, obviously you run into Jokic, and that obviously everything runs through him. And they did have Bogdanovich kind of went off a little bit, but it makes no sense. But they'll win the gold. They should. This certainly isn't this would be a matchup issue for them too. I mean, Prince has length. So, who knows what's going to happen?
Right, and we're just about up against our first break, but there are some interesting, just switching gears a little bit, USA upcoming gold medal games. You got women's soccer today against Brazil at 11 o'clock. As we mentioned, men's hoops today at 3:30. Women's volleyball tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. versus Italy. Women's basketball tomorrow morning at 9:30, also versus France. So some interesting gold medal matchups coming up. I'll be tuning in not to only see if USA beats France today in men's, but just to see if Tatum gets in. It's turning into this whole side story on its own. I think, especially here in New England, I think it's almost bigger than the actual game itself.
Yeah, definitely. I'm obviously most interested in the women's soccer game this afternoon, or this morning, 11 o'clock. So that should be a good game. Brazil's pretty chippy. I do like the way the U.S. played from the young, really up-and-coming superstars. Hopefully they close it out with a solid performance later.
Yeah, at 11 o'clock this morning. We are up against our first break. When we come back, we'll continue to have Pat on the lines from Indiana. Hopefully, Pat's checking out the swimming pools in the Hoosier Dome where they had swimming Olympic trials out there, Pat. Hopefully, they're still up and you can get your swimming in. But when we come back, we're going to switch things up a little bit. We got some local things going on with Upper Deck American Legion Post 14. We'll talk about that. Slide into the Red Sox, and then at the bottom of the hour, we'll be joined by Tyler Heatu of the Sun Chronicle, talking all things Patriots. You are listening to Kevin Sports Show with Pat Holland here on 99.5 FM, 1240 AM, OneSocketRadio.com. We will be back right after these messages.
ON 1240.
Stress-free car shopping is what you will encounter at Tasket Buick GMC of Woonsocket. In stock is the latest Buick and GMC models like the Buick Encore GX, Envision, GMC Sierra 1500, Acadia, and Terrain. Tasca Buick GMC of Woonsocket has a wide selection of pre-owned automobiles. These vehicles undergo many point checks before going on sale. Plus, they come with a warranty and an auto check certified history. Check out the entire inventory of new and pre-owned cars online at TascaBuickGMC.com. Tasca Buick GMC, Thornton Drive, Woonsocket. You will be satisfied.
Lincoln and North Smithfield Urgent Care Centers are Northern Rhode Island's modern comprehensive urgent cares devoted to the best family health care available. They have board-certified doctors on their staff who will make you feel safe, comfortable, and reassured, especially when you're in doubt and concerned about the severity of your discomfort. Both centers feature on-site labs and x-ray facilities, as well as drug screens, complete physicals, flu shots, occupational medicine, including workers' comp and free blood screening. North Smithfield Urgent Care, 594 Great Road, North Smithfield, 768-3400. Open Monday through Friday 9 to 8 and Saturday 9 to 5. Lincoln Urgent Care, located across from Lincoln Mall, 333-9595. Open weekdays 9 to 9, Saturday and Sunday 9 to 5. You do have a choice.
Most automobile accidents, major or minor, are somewhat traumatic. They affect people's routine and employment, sometimes their health. That's why Micho's Auto Body is committed to addressing all phases of accidents, including repairs, reports, rentals, and stress. They offer the full package. Their promise is to give each person all that they are paying for and then some. Micho's Auto Body on Privilege Street in Woonsocket, 769-1983.
ON AM and FM.
And welcome back to Kevin's Sports Show here on WOON AM and FM, OneSocketRadio.com. You can watch us on Facebook. You can watch us on YouTube as well. Kind of switching up gears, I'm joined, first of all, by Pat Holland, who's calling remotely from Indianapolis. So, Pat, locally, Upper Deck Post 14, American Legion, in the Region 1 Northeast Finals, looking for a berth in the American Legion World Series. In a double elimination tournament, Upper Deck is 2-0 with a 5-4 win over West Hartford, Connecticut, and a 9-2 win over Shrewsbury. Currently, they are tied with no one with no one out, man on first, and the potential game-winning run. Elijah Moffitt is on first base, who walked when the rains came in last night at 5:36. The game will be resumed this morning at 11 o'clock with the number 2 hitter, Jack LaRose, up. I've already plotted it out for Coach Allard if he's listening. You're going to bunt. You're going to bunt, Moffitt. Moffitt's going to with LaRose. And that's going to bring up URI-bound Andy Ray. Andy Ray is currently 1 for 3 in this game. He's 6 for 11 in the regional over 2 games. If they make a mistake and they pitch to him, the game's over. Or you walk him and you bring up Ryan Thompson, who's only 3 for 3 in this game. And Upper Deck, if they get past him, Upper Deck sends up your buddy, Charles Torreira, who's 2 for 3 on the game. I'm liking Upper Deck's chances today to win this game. If they win, they will play South Burlington, Vermont tomorrow at 4 o'clock. If they do end up losing, they have a rematch with West Hartford, Connecticut tomorrow at 1 o'clock, coming out of the losers bracket. Have you been following this at all, Pat?
Just a little bit. I mean, obviously, just checking in. It looks like they're playing well, but yeah, they're in a good situation. I don't know how the pitching works with that. I would imagine that whoever was pitching isn't going to be back. So they're going to go with their whoever's the next best guy. Try to put the game out, but regardless, they're in a good situation right now for sure.
Yeah, in the bottom of the 7th, and my understanding of, I don't have the stats in front of me right now. Not sure who's actually pitching right now. However, it does go from day to day. There is a pitch count in American Legion. If my memory serves, it's 115 pitches. However, if you throw X amount of pitches in one day, you cannot pitch the next day. So I'm not exactly sure where they are with their pitchers right now. But just know that they're in the bottom of the 7th with the, hey, lead off, walk, score. I think the stats are like 90% of the time. And so they'll be beginning their game at 11. And best of luck, Upper Deck. The whole thing ends tomorrow. Winners bracket team will play a team with one loss at 1:00 tomorrow. Should the winners bracket team lose, there'll be a second game at 4:00. So everything finishes up tomorrow afternoon at Gill Stadium in New Hampshire for the Northeast Regionals, with the winner advancing to the American Legion World Series. Many of those games will be on, if not on ESPN Plus, actually ESPNU, or sometimes ESPN2 as well. So best of luck, Upper Deck. Tremendous team, and obviously we wish them the best. But Pat, let's turn our attention to the Red Sox. Again, if you have any thoughts on the Jason Tatum issue, or thoughts on the Red Sox moving forward, give us a call, 401-766-1240. Pat, last night the Sox lost 8-4 to the Houston Astros. They continue to sit 1.5 games behind the Royals for the third and last wild card spot. And they're 2 behind the Twins. A little quirk of scheduling here, Pat. The Royals and the Twins are both done playing the Chicago White Sox, losers of their last 23 out of 24. Chicago White Sox, and the Red Sox actually have a 3-game series with the White Sox coming up later on this season. So I thought with the Twins and the Royals having more games against the White Sox originally, I'm like, oh no, the Red Sox might be in trouble, but they are done with the White Sox, so that's good, because the White Sox, is this the worst team you've ever seen?
Yeah, I mean to lose 23 out of 24, that's historical, right?
Yeah, including 21 in a row just recently.
And I think their stat is, I think both teams are 12-1 against them.
Yes, they are.
Right, so you got to factor that in. So they have, even though the Red Sox have the toughest schedule, those guys have to start playing real teams now, right?
Exactly.
They're the weak part of the schedule. So obviously, I didn't see the game last night. I caught a few of the highlights, but obviously, you want to win a game that you get Hulk through 6 innings, and he's pitching well. And the bullpen just continues to struggle.
Well, it was disappointing about last night. Yeah, they had a 3-1 lead going into the 7th inning, and it was Sims and Garcia, the 2 acquisitions that gave up the that gave up the lead, and those are the guys. It had been the starting pitching that had been struggling. And the bullpen, Jansen was doing okay. Sims and Garcia had a good debut last week for the Red Sox when we spoke last on the sports show. But yeah, tough to see, last night. And this is a big game, big series against Houston. I know you can't go game by game like you do in the NFL, but when you got a 3-game series, you'd like to take the first game on your way to hopefully taking 2 out of 3.
Yeah, we've discussed this week over week, right? It is about winning series now from this point out. So hopefully, take the next 2, but have a guy that you can go sick, get sick, pitch him well, and you bring in a new acquisition. He get the 3rd inning, 4 hits for 4 earned runs. Zach Kelly can't seem to get out of it. Got to get out of it either. He pitched 2/3, gives up 3 hits. Garcia comes in, didn't pitch horrible, but and then Boozer, who continues, and I think he just came back, right?
Right.
Continues to struggle. Martin came back the other night. He looked really good. Especially coming back with no rehab.
No rehab, 1 inning, 3 strikeouts, Pat, and he's not known as a strikeout pitcher, and he struck out the side.
Correct, and his velocity was 96. I think he might have hit 97 at one point. So that was promising to see. So we'll see what happens today, but they got to start stringing wins together again. And I was just looking at the last 7 days. Wong's bat obviously a little bit down a lot. That's like 129 in the last week. But you need him to really still produce.
Absolutely.
Interested to see. I knew they made a roster move slightly. I think Bello went on the paternity list, so he's at least going to miss his next start.
Actually, I did read today. I think in the Sun Chronicle I read today that he will not be missing a start. Yes, he's on the paternity list, but he is scheduled to make his next start on Monday.
Yeah.
So I think they just not released him. I'm sorry, put him on the paternity list to open up a spot for another player.
Yeah, it's a paper transaction. So yeah, well that's good. That's good then because he pitched. I mean, again, we have to get another inning or two out of him. But
Right.
It's going to come down to arm.
Right.
The pitches have to come through. So.
I mean, we've talked about Costas in the past. No timetable yet that I've heard. Interesting though that seeing in the news today, a player that I'm not a huge fan of. I wasn't a huge fan when they signed him. I think he has underperformed here in Boston when he has been healthy. But Trevor Story, they're saying he could be back very soon. He got hurt back on April 5th, and they're saying maybe in a week or two he's starting to hit, and he's been taking infield as well the last week or so. I'm not a huge fan of Trevor Story. It's I just feel like his numbers are overinflated in Colorado, and he just has not been able to hit outside of Colorado, not consistently. And again, I just this could just be me. I don't know what I have a hang up with Trevor Story, but I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, and he's been hurt, obviously, the last two seasons. But yeah, his numbers were inflated coming out of Colorado. It is promising to see that he might get back. Where do you plug him in? He certainly needs some help. And as much as I do like Remy, he's just
Oh, right.
liability up there. Every time he's in the field, he's making an error. So, I like his bat. I like his pinch hitting capability. But
Right.
to put him in there every time I see him in the lineup, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and they're gonna give Story a chance because of the huge contract. And again, he hasn't played since April 5th, so they're gonna give him every opportunity to make an impact on the team. And who knows? Obviously, he's fresh. He's not gonna be burned out, and I'm assuming he'll want to make an impression. It's just hope he actually adds something and doesn't take away from the camaraderie that the team has obviously developed with these young guys that they're playing so hard. They're playing a different style of game. The running gun Red Sox. They're like the Royals of the early '80s. I mean that's the style of game they're playing right now. And I just hope Trevor Story doesn't disrupt that. Though I do agree with you. I think he is an upgrade defensively. I do worry about his bat
Sure.
though. So
and as far as Casas goes, we have to find out something. I think he's due to come off the DL.
Right.
It might even be today.
You might be right.
They have to extend him or put him on a longer term, which I don't think they're going to do that. So they might have to make room for him on the roster and get him back in.
Yeah, no, that'll be interesting. Pat, we're up against the clock, but when we come back, we're going to have Tyler Hitu from the Sun Chronicle to break things down with the Patriots, what's going on in camp with the Patriots, what's going on with Matthew Judon, if anything, who's going to be quarterback in this team week 1, week 5, week 10. All your Patriots, we got a lot of questions for Tyler Hitu. When we come back, you'll listen to Kevin's Sports Show with Pat Holland on 99.5 FM, 1240 AM, and WinSoccerRadio.com. We will be back right after this message.
ON 1240.
Stay on top of your vehicle's maintenance. Good advice from State Line Service and Tire and their full service, including suspension systems, transmission maintenance, heating and air conditioning, emission control testing, and addressing computer problems. Don, Kevin, and Sean believe in staying on top. Check their website for money-saving coupons, StatelineAutoservice.com. They can also provide your service history and automatic service reminders. State Line Service and Tire, 1209 Social Street, Woonsocket.
If your garage door needs replacing because of wear, performance, or appearance, think of Woonsocket Door Sales, your complete overhead door facility for installation and maintenance, including framework repair and security. Woonsocket Door Sales features important information about security on their website. For attached garages, be safe with a good deadbolt lock or door monitor. And remember, detached garages often contain valuable tools and recreation equipment. Woonsocket Door Sales since 1935. 1 Biltmore Avenue, Cumberland. 767-3448.
Welcome to summer, and John Moran of A.J. Moran Incorporated says now is the time to get those projects done that you've been putting off. masonry, patios, walkways, hardscape, and landscape. AJ Moran will work with you to create the design that you want. Your web destination to contact AJ Moran Incorporated is ajmoraninc.com or search AJ Moran Incorporated on Facebook. AJ Moran Incorporated has been servicing Massachusetts and Rhode Island for more than 30 years. Contact John Moran at 781-267-6827. 781-267-6827. AJ Moran Incorporated.
This ONAM and FM forecast brought to you by Chan's Fine Oriental Dining, 267 Main Street, Woonsocket. For takeouts, call 765-1900. Becoming sunny today with a high of 86 and a breeze from the west. Tonight, mostly clear skies, overnight low of 60. Sunday's weather, mostly sunny and 81. Monday, mostly sunny and 79. Tuesday, sunshine and 81. Wednesday, sunshine and 83. Thursday, sunshine and 82. And next Friday, partly sunny skies and 81 degrees.
And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have 82 degrees on a hazy, hot, and humid Saturday morning. Currently, we are now joined here on Kevin's Sports Show with Tyler Hitu of the Sun Chronicle. Tyler, are you there?
Yes, I am, Kevin. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Say hi to Pat Holland, my co-host, who's out in Indiana.
Pat, good morning, sir.
Hey, Tyler, how are you?
All right. And I'm very happy because the automation's working. So I got I'm not the most tech savvy guy, so everything's working. So Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. You are the Patriots beat writer for the Sun Chronicle, and so I really in Attleboro. So I really appreciate you coming on. Let's jump right into it. You know, you've been covering the Pats during camp. Your initial thoughts. I know it's a preseason game. It means nothing, but it's the start of a brand new era at Gillette Stadium. So what were your initial thoughts on the first game against the Panthers Thursday night?
You know, it's preseason, so you can't put too much stock into what you see, because a lot of those guys might not be on the team come 4 weeks from now. But I liked what I saw from Joe Milton, especially. I thought Joe Milton was terrific, especially in the third and fourth quarter, performing well beyond expectations, at least to me. Defense was really solid, 4 sacks. I know Carolina isn't particularly the strongest team. I think we'll get a better grasp of how the defense and offense works when they play Philadelphia next Thursday. But yeah, I really like the play calling. It wasn't too aggressive. It was a lot of short passes. We saw that with Drake May. Didn't really overextend himself in that one series that he played. Jacoby Brissett also only played one series, so we don't really know where he's at yet. But I think it was mostly just a sort of a feel-out game for Mayo, where he said he was excited. We asked about butterflies. I don't think he really had any, because he's no stranger to Gillette Stadium. But it was a good start. You always want to start the preseason off with a win, regardless of who you play and how you play. And holding Carolina to 151 total yards of offense and only 7 first downs, I thought that is a pretty good sign of what we're going to expect of the next 2 preseason games. And hopefully, come week 1, this is a more polished team, and they're ready to go come week 1.
Yeah, no, it's I was excited to see the defense. Dietrich Wise got a sack right in the early portion of the game, so I was happy to see that. When you see one of the named guys step up and do something, I was confused on the rotation of quarterbacks. I wasn't surprised to see Jacoby start, but only played 4 snaps, and then Ramondre Stevenson had a nice run on that series, and then Drake May came in. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we'll see him. I knew it was the first time him against the ones on defense, and practicing with the ones on offense, and then very surprised to go to Bailey Zappi still in the first quarter. Were you surprised by the rotation of quarterbacks?
Personally, yes, a little. I thought the leashes would be maybe a little longer with both Jacoby and Drake. One series that you understand it in hindsight, because you don't want either of them to get hurt, especially against a team like Carolina, and it's week 1 of preseason. But the more I think about it, the more I think it's more of a calculated move to give Bailey a chance to put together some game film in preseason with maybe, front office's plans to let him go in the coming days, coming weeks. I thought he was okay. Obviously, recency bias is going to say he's not a great quarterback, which, I think a lot of people would believe that. I think, he was put in a bad spot last year. So, I think that's still fresh in people's minds. But I think it was more of a calculated move to give him some game, some opportunity, try and prove that he belongs on the roster as QB3. And I think that's also why they gave Joe Milton such a long leash for the fourth and third quarter. So I really think Thursday was that QB3 battle and Gerard Mayo saying, show me what you got, guys, because it's going to come down to you two for this last spot.
I mean, and just to the naked eye, off of that, Tyler, I would say definitely Joe Milton won. I'm not one to have Zappy fever. I agree with you. I think he was put in a tough situation. I don't think the relationship with him and Mac Jones was all that great last year. It's kind of, almost a wasted year. But I do go back to last year. The Patriots actually released, Zappy and then re-signed him back to the practice squad, then elevated him. So it would if they do release Zappy, I mean, if they can get something for him, I question what they could get for him. I don't even think they would get a 7th-round draft pick if they trade him. Do you see another team that could possibly have some interest in Bailey Zappe?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, depth quarterbacks in the NFL are a dime a dozen, especially when they come to depth. I think we saw maybe over the last 2 years that the first-string quarterback goes down with an injury, and then we're hearing a guy that we've never heard of. Maybe he was playing in the XFL, as a UFL, as a CFL a year ago, getting first-team reps, and everybody is holding their bated breath watching this guy play quarterback. If I was a team like, say, Dallas, Dak Prescott goes down, hypothetically, I would want Bailey Zappe taking first-team reps over Trey Lance, for example. Most because this is a quarterback that's won in the NFL, given small sample size compared to a bulk of guys. But from what I've seen, he's a good kid. He's young, he's learning, he understands, the situation he was put in last year. And he hears the boos, but also at the same time, he hears everybody cheering for him.
Okay.
I remember not too long ago, Mac was not having a good day. And all, whatever it is, 30,000, 40,000 probably at Gillette Stadium at that time was chanting for Zappe, and I thought it was one of the coolest things I've seen. And then sure enough, he comes out and scores. But then 6 weeks later, those guys are booing him out of buildings. So I think he'll catch on somewhere. I'm hopeful. I think he's a good kid. I think he's got a lot to offer. I mean, he's the NCAA all-time passing leader for a single season and touchdown leader for a single season. So he's got it somewhere. Okay. Hopefully he can go somewhere where that can be unleashed.
No, sounds good. Pat, you have a question for Tyler?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback, I think that's a great point, Tyler. I actually was thinking that myself, seeing that he got, he was 12 for 20, so it looks like they were trying to at least let him showcase himself a little bit, maybe get some game film together so that potentially has a landing spot. I think ultimately he's going to be the odd man out, whether they just release him outright. I don't see them trading him. I think they'd ultimately end up releasing him. But I wanted to see what your take was on the wide receiver core. I mean, obviously you've heard a lot of talk about these young draft picks coming in, and then obviously we see Juju gets released, which I felt was coming all along. I thought they were going to see how spring training started out and how it ends. And it certainly was no surprise to see that come across the social media where they released them outright. What's your take on the wide receiver situation?
I mean, it's a young, unproven group. We don't have Devontae Parker anymore, or now Juju, which I think is a good thing. Those were guys that just, big contracts that didn't work out. I think getting younger is definitely a good thing. Kayshon Boutte, he led the team in receiving last night. I think that's going to be a common saying, hopefully in the next year, 2 years, 3 years. Jalen Polk, he didn't play too much, didn't see too much action. I think he had 3 targets. They worked a lot out of with the short passing game, mostly hitting the running back in the backfield, which I have a feeling is going to be a big part of the offense. Sort of let the running backs do some sort of most of the work. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, Jacoby isn't exactly, that deep downfield threat as a quarterback in Drake May. He's got that arm, but I wouldn't expect him to be bombing the ball 50 yards downfield on his first drive in Foxborough. It's going to be a time where, we're going to let the quarterbacks get comfortable, not be too aggressive. But I say that, and also, they're going to definitely take those chances because they definitely have some burners on the outside with guys like Jalen Polk and Tyquan Thornton. But I think it's going to be mostly a short passing game. A lot of guys in the slot, a lot of guys 10, 15 yards, maybe 20 yards. I'm still looking for a little more. I think it's too early. A lot of these guys had 2 catches, 1 catch. Only 2 guys had 3 catches on Thursday. So they spread the ball around to, I think, 12 different guys. But I think the receiving core is going to take shape, hopefully on Thursday, and then week 3 when they go on the road for the first time.
You're listening to Tyler Hitu joining us here on 99.5 FM, 1240 AM. Tyler Hitu, Patriots beat writer for the Attleboro Sun Chronicle. So Tyler, question on Drake May. Everything you heard the first day of pads, he wasn't great, and then he got better. This is what the pundits are saying on some of the other talk radio stations. What are you seeing out of Drake May?
People love to hear that a player is struggling, especially in New England, and they just latch on to that, and they don't let go. They don't listen to any of the good things that people are saying. Yes, he has had a little bit of an up and down summer, and I think that's just normal with a rookie quarterback, learning a brand new system with a brand new head coach, essentially. But I have seen that he's bounced back each time, which is exactly what you want to see. And also working with the first team, second team, third team, you name it. He's put up solid numbers. Jacoby Brissett has had some inconsistencies. So I think there is a door open for him to jump into that QB1 spot. How likely I think it is that he will be the starting quarterback come week 1, I'm not, Mike Reese. I can't make that judgment call right now. But I do think it's been a fun summer, following along, seeing the numbers come out from him. And you can definitely see the promise there. You can see the vision that the Patriots want to have with them.
Okay.
They're not putting too much pressure on him. I think the media and the fans are putting the pressure on him themselves. I think they're just letting him go out there, do his thing, get the work in, and try and prove to them himself each practice that he's worthy of that start. And like I said, we'll find out where the cards lie in a couple of weeks.
Hey, we're up against the break right now. Tyler, are you willing to hang on for our last segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great. Okay, we are up against the clock, and you are listening to Kevin's Sports Show here on 99.5 FM, 1240 AM. And when we come back from break, we'll continue talking to Sun Chronicles' Tyler Hitu here on Kevin's Sports Show.
OM 1240.
Stress-free car shopping is what you will encounter at Tasca Buick GMC of Woonsocket. In stock is the latest Buick and GMC models like the Buick Encore GX, Envision, GMC Sierra 1500, Acadia, and Terrain. Tasca Buick GMC of Woonsocket has a wide selection of pre-owned automobiles. These vehicles undergo many point checks before going on sale. Plus, they come with a warranty and an auto check certified history. Check out the entire inventory of new and pre-owned cars online at TascaBuickGMC.com. Tasca Buick GMC, Fortin Drive, Woonsocket. You will be satisfied. Featuring traditional dishes from Mexico to your table is Bandito's Mexican Restaurant, 2120 Diamond Hill Road in Woonsocket. Bandito's Mexican Restaurant is your go-to place for tacos, burritos, tequila, margaritas, and more. So today, when you're wondering where to get the best Mexican food in Woonsocket, remember Bandito's Mexican Restaurant. Bandito's, with locations on Broad Street in Cumberland, Park Street in Attleboro, and soon in Pawtucket, is open daily at 12 in Woonsocket.
If you're celebrating a major event, regardless of the reason, Michael's Meats of Cumberland can elevate your next meal from ordinary to extraordinary with meats so good your guests will ask you where you got them. Tell them Michael's Meats. Michael's Meats is in the Walgreens parking lot on Mendon Road in Cumberland, just north of the Ciabro Plaza. They're open Monday through Saturday at 9 a.m., making your next meal truly special. Here's this week's specials at Michael's Meats.
And today at Michael's Meats, they have certified beef sirloin tips for just $9.98 a pound at Michael's Meats. Welcome back to Kevin's Sports Show. We are joined by Pat Holland out in Indiana. We are joined by Tyler Hetu, Patriots beat writer for the Sun Chronicle. And coming back out of break, and thanks again for joining us, Tyler. This is your third camp covering the Patriots. So you caught Belichick at the end of his run, and now you've got Gerard Mayo at the beginning of his run. How would you compare the styles of the two different camps?
I haven't been at camp too much to really, know every single intricacy of each camp yet. But I have noticed that, it's a lot more player friendly, I would say. They got music playing for 2-3 hours at it. Guys are joking around, having fun. But other than that, it's been pretty straight to the point where, they get right into drills and, they're having a lot of fun doing it. It's not so much, the walking on eggshells, I guess, with Bill around, and you notice it in the locker room too. On Thursday, guys were joking around, having fun, and whether that's the effect of coming off a win or not, I'm sure that has something to do with it. But I walk in there and I said to one of the other Patriots writers, I'm like, this locker room is considerably different than how it was last year, and they looked at me and were like, oh yeah, this is definitely a different vibe. And I think you saw it back in, I think it was the spring or early summer. They had a basketball hoop in the locker room, which under Bill, that would never fly. That would never be a thing. They're riding bikes around in the locker room before camp started too. So it definitely feels like guys are having a little more fun. They're a little more loose. And Gerard is definitely a more player-friendly coach, which I think is exactly what the team needs.
I mean, yeah, you have, obviously a huge contrast in styles, between the two. But anybody they brought in was going to be a contrast in style from Bill. His way for 24 years, his way is the only way. So, Pat, you there? Do you have a question for Tyler?
Yeah, I wanted to see what your take was on some of the contract. Obviously we got the biggest player out there left that hasn't signed. Where do you think that stands? Are we getting close?
Pat's referring to Matthew Judon, of course.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
Matthew Judon. I could see them, paying him a little bit more for this season. I don't see them giving him a long-term extension by any means. So maybe that's where the hiccup lies. But what are you hearing out there?
Well, I would imagine a deal gets done before week 1, at the latest maybe week 2, week 3. But I don't think Judon wants to sit out any longer than he has the last year or so. The Patriots wanted to pay Brandon Ayuk if they got him in a deal anywhere from $28 to $32 million a year, which is an unbelievable number for Ayuk. Personally, I don't think Ayuk's worth more than 28 or 32. So I think if I was Judon, I would see those numbers and say, I think that this is a good basis as to where we could go. And this is a guy that came off a 2022 season where he was 9th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. He had 15.5 sacks. Yes, he was hurt last year, so we didn't really get to see what he was able to do in his age 31 season. But I would say pay him whatever he wants. Also, I'm not good with money and stuff like that, but I think a guy like him that mans down the linebacker role and has a very good standing in the locker room, is very well respected guy in the building. You have to pay him what he's asking, because the defense, they may be all right without him, but where they stand with Judon there, they got Barmore and Godshaw up front. The safeties and the corners look terrific. Linebacking core is obviously good with Judon. It makes it even better. I think you got to get a deal done. And honestly, I think you got to go to him and say, just name your number, and I think we can start from there.
Tyler, I'm going to play devil's advocate with you for a second, because I'm harping on his age and coming off an injury, and Pat mentioned it briefly. I think it's the years that are going to be the hiccup. Would he sign for 1 or 2 years? I mean, he's under contract for this year. Would he sign just a 2-year extension, or is he looking for 4 years, going out to like 36, 37 years of age? Because if that's the case, and I have no idea if it is or not, if that's the case, I could see the Patriots not wanting to sign him, especially coming off an injury.
I think that's a fair point. He could be asking for 4. I think that might be where the hiccup is, how long they want to keep him. And yes, age is obviously a concern. Football players around 30, 31 usually aren't the same as what they were at 25, 26. But you look at the numbers over his last 2 full healthy seasons. He had 12.5 sacks his first year in New England, then 15.5 in 22. And he was on pace for as equally of a good season last year before he got hurt. He had 4 sacks in 2 games. So I think that is room for concern depending on, the length. I would be willing to bite the bullet and say, okay, we'll sign you through age 35. Then after that, we can talk about things going forward from there. But I just think you got to get him while he's good right now. Because he's essentially he's a captain in the locker room. He's well respected. He's well regarded. He's a veteran, and this is what the team needs. It's a very young team. First year head coach like Mayo is going to want a guy that is trusted like that, is a leader on the field and in the locker room, and also has been there and done that. He's been to 3-4 Pro Bowls, and he's got that respect among opponents too. People look at Judon on the other side of the field and say, we need to pick him up. We need to stop him from getting to the quarterback.
And just to do a flip-flop, to your point, if the Patriots are going to win games this year, I think they're going to have to do it on the defensive side of the ball. I think the offense is going to be a work in progress all year. You even talked about, possibly changing quarterbacks halfway through the year if Drake May continues to progress. And Matthew Judon is that leader that can be a game changer on defense. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it stops with him. I think Godshaw and Wise are getting to that point where, people are starting to take notice of them and they're starting to respect them. Same thing with Christian Gonzalez. I know he played a little bit last year, then he got hurt as well. But there is a large group of people in the league and even reporters and hopefully fans, too. They take notice to Christian Gonzalez and say, this kid is legit. And we need to throw away from him and try and put some more pressure on some of the other corners, which you throw away from Christian Gonzalez, you're going to get someone like Marcus Jones or Sean Wade and Kyle Duggar, even Jabril Peppers. All those guys are fine secondary players, especially Jabril. He just got paid a nice amount of money. So the defense is going to be tough sledding for opponents in Foxborough, and I think that's definitely the crutch of this team for next year.
You are listening to Tyler Heatu of the Sun Chronicle in Attleboro, Patriots beat writer and occasional Metallica concert reviewer. I hope you enjoyed your Metallica show the other night. Pat, in the limited time we have left, do you have any more questions for Tyler?
No, I was just going to kind of piggyback on that. I think there's certainly a value to Judon's personality too, right? He's kind of the face of the defense. As good as those other guys are, they're not the personality. You lose a guy like Slater, who obviously was the voice on, whether it's special, but he was the voice in the locker room. So I think Judon is that guy. The only other guy I can think of is injured, right? But he's the center, offensive lineman, not as personality-wise, not as out there, right? People go to see Judon, right? They go to preseason games and even the spring training to see him. He's out there, helmet, as he's coming on the field, and people react to that, right? So there's a value to that.
Yeah, and I definitely agree because those last 2 years where he was fully healthy, Judon always went to the podium to sort of to face the music, whether it was a bad defensive game or the guys won. He was always there to talk to media, and I think that says a lot about who he is as a player and how much he means to the team. Because there could be guys that maybe they have a bad game and they just don't want to talk. But Judon always was up there, whether he was the first up to the podium or the last. Always with a smile on his face, always wearing some crazy looking outfit. Always going, "What's up, guys?" and answering the questions and having some good depth to it. I think that his value is definitely noticed. People want to go see him. People want to see him get the sack and do the Judon celebration that kids in high school do, which is an unfathomable thing, I think, to have a sack celebration be done in high school. But yeah, he definitely has proven his value here, and I think he needs to stay.
One of my final questions here, Tyler, you got the joint practice with Philadelphia coming up this week. I think they're only practicing one day together. Is that correct? Is it Wednesday or Tuesday?
Yes.
And is there a potential to have a Giants-Lions type of joint practice, or do you think it'll go a little bit smoother than that?
So I'm glad it's one day because that limits the opportunities of a scuffle. But even with one day, there's obviously going to be some jawing. There might be one or two punches thrown. But Philly coming to town is good because it's obviously a tougher team.
Yes.
Than Carolina, and I think that will give a good test to see where the Patriots are at against some Super Bowl level competition. Nick Sirianni is obviously a tremendous coach. They got Jalen Hurts. They got all these playmakers, A.J. Brown out there. So the defense will be tested. However long they play, that's still up for debate. And the defense is obviously no joke. So, the Patriots should be okay going into the Philly game. Going through camp, they should be fine if they get out of it healthy and not fighting. But yeah, it should be a good week of practice. I think it'll definitely be interesting to see how they go up against a team like Philadelphia through camp, where maybe the guys are going 100%, maybe they're not. Maybe there's some dialogues or some storylines that come out of it regarding someone said something to who or someone threw a punch at who. But I think the one day is perfect. I think that's exactly the right amount to prevent guys from boiling over.
Do you see the quarterbacks each getting a quarter?
That's what I thought would happen on Thursday.
Yeah.
Personally, and I think that's what a lot of fans thought too. But I think we should see a little bit of a longer leash for Jacoby and Drake. Bailey Zappi could be released in the next 5 days.
Sure.
Which could make the quarterback situation a lot more clear. I think they want to see a little more out of Joe Milton.
Yes.
Which I'm all for. I think that would be not just fun to see, but also I think it would be good to see what he's got. The last time they had a guy like this, it was Malik Cunningham last year.
Yep.
And they didn't really know what to do with him.
Right.
They put him
wide
out
receiver,
there
quarterback.
Wildcat. They put him at receiver. This time with a player like him, I think it's a little more cut and dry. That you just got to let him. You just got to put him in the shotgun and say, here are the routes.
Yes.
This is what we got for you.
Excellent. Excellent.
I think the quarterback situation should sort itself out by Thursday.
All right, that's great. We are up against the clock. Pat, thank you so much for calling in from Indianapolis. I look forward to you being back in studio next week with us, and as we resume our co-hosting in studio together, that'll be great. Tyler, we hope to have you on again in the future to break some things down more with the Patriots. Would you be up for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great. We really appreciate having Tyler Heaton of the Attleboro Sun Chronicle on there. We didn't get to the Metallica concert review, so we can look forward to that review coming up in the future. Thank you all very much for listening to Kevin's Sports Show with Pat Holland on 99.5 FM. Thank you to all of our sponsors on OneSocketRadio.com as well. Until then, have a great weekend, and we will see you all next Saturday at 9 o'clock. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
NBC News Radio, I'm Rob Bartier. President Biden says defeating former President Trump is the most important thing in November's election. In an interview that will air on CBS News Sunday morning, Biden said, quote, we must defeat Trump. Biden talked about when he ran for president in 2020 that he thought of himself as a transition president. He called being president a great honor. Vice President Kamala Harris is talking immigration at a rally in Arizona. The Democratic candidate made no mention of the topic during prior rallies this week in Michigan and Wisconsin. Harris was at a rally in Glendale.
So I was Attorney General of a border state. I went after the transnational gangs, the drug cartels, and human traffickers.
During the